Yes, answer it. Hello? This should be the intro of the podcast. Hello. What is it? Was it claps? Claps away?
That's me excited. You know why?
Paige, now who they want. Paige, now who they don't want.
I was going to say, I'm just excited that it's episode 2 of Let Her Shoot.
Let Her Shoot.
WNBA draft special.
Are we doing an intro or no?
I mean, what do you want our intro to be?
I don't know. I mean, we're trying to be Gen Z, so I bet Gen Z doesn't have an intro.
I mean, I think Gen Z's intros are typically like, what did you do this weekend?
What did I do? I had a migraine all weekend. So I take this thing called Abrelvi, which is a migraine medicine, and I was out, and my prescription hadn't come in yet, and it was the Masters, and I love the Masters. I'm a huge golf fan.
Rory!
Go Rory! And so I was laid up in bed just waiting for my pharmacy prescription to come in, and then I found out, which is like, it's a miracle drug, really, and I had an ice pack on my head the whole time as I'm listening to the Masters, and then on Monday, I opened up my sock drawer to grab a pair of socks, and I saw an extra Brelvi in the...
We are not sponsored by...
There's no free shout-outs, but it is the best.
Enter code Let Her Shoot.
Enter code Let Her Shoot for a discount on a Brelvi. A Brelvi's fucking insanely expensive.
Isn't it like $1,400 or something a month?
Well, I get it for free because a Brelvi, shout out to a Brelvi, they gave me a coupon. And, but no, normally it's like $150 a pill. So that's what I did this weekend, is absolutely fucking nothing. What'd you do?
I drove about 1.5 million hours down to the Smoky Mountains. I'm in a Roach Motel in the middle of the Smoky Mountains.
It doesn't look good. The Roach Motel... But we couldn't allow the WNBA draft to pass in that episode.
No, the WNBA draft is too vital.
Fucking important. I wish I went. It was at the Shed, which is, I used to live right around the corner from the Shed. Sick-ass venue. I used to live in New York right on 31st and 9th. It's not scary to tell people what happened to you. Your audio is just fucked.
No, it's good. We're good.
We're good. But anyway, so it sold out the Shed in like 2.2 seconds the day that they put tickets on sale for who knows how much they were. I couldn't even tell because everyone was there, obviously, to see Paige and Azzi. Paige and Azzi. Pazzi Fudd. Pazzi fuckers. Oh, Pazzi fuckers. That's what Bueckers is. Pagey Feckers.
Wow, what a name.
Pazzi Feckers.
I don't know about that.
All right, so... Then Bud, Pazzi Bud. That sounds like a weed brand.
It does. Pazzi Bud. You know what? I'd smoke that. It feels like the weed of champions.
Yeah, it does. I think we just came up with something.
I want to talk about that red carpet video because that moment to me felt. And now you're not like. I know you're not like deep in the soccer lore.
No.
Okay. But I'm going to take you back on a journey real quick. So from like about, I mean, I don't know exactly when, but like, I want to say probably like somewhere in the mid 2010s, like 2014, 2015, there were a lot of rumors, internet rumors, before TikTok, but internet rumors about Kristen Press and Tobin Heath. And there was always like this like, whispering of like, are they or aren't they? We're not really sure, but like we think something. We see,
and they're always together.
It's something is here that we're seeing that like.
But we can't really ask about it because that's uncouth.
Well, you can't out people.
Yeah.
Like number one, you can't out people, right? And so they weren't out, and so no one ever it was just like a thing, You talked about it in your friend groups. But
which is kind of like shady. I mean, we're all just whispering,
Oh, we always whisper. Yeah. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So in about 2019 at the ESPYs, after they won the World Cup, they show up together at the ESPYs on the red carpet, and everyone was like, "Is this the hard launch?" And it kind of was, because they still never addressed it, but then like just went about their lives, and we just accepted that they were together at that point. Part of me is wondering if last night's red carpet or orange carpet, let me rephrase that, was a little bit of that Kristen Press, Tobin Heath SB's moment.
Yeah, because you had the Paige Bueckers hand on the lower back. The hand placement was enough to say, oh wow. Not just women to say that we've been hoping and praying and wishing to say, oh wow, but men were saying, oh, they have never mentioned them as an item before. Being like, hey, are they together?
Which we don't know. I mean, we do
not know. We have no idea.
We have no idea. They've never said. And we're just speculating. And I think probably a little bit of us are like
hoping.
They'd be a power couple. So like we want them to be one.
And Paige was mic'd up for the event. And so you add the red orange carpet moment to the fact that Paige is mic'd up. Azzi's at her family table, not with the rest of the Yukon squad, right? So sus. And in this banging ass fucking dress.
She looked
insane.
Insanely good. I saw her and I think I texted you immediately and was like, okay, Azzi.
Straightened her hair, which I'm fine with any curls, straight, either way. But it was just a chic, sleek look. And so she's at Paige's table, right? At the family table.
Matching outfits, by the way. They were wearing matching outfits.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. But yes, they were matching. Paige was bedazzled black. And Azzi was in a suit, which we don't know what Paige's proclivities are. We don't know. But suit.
We don't know. But
suit back to back. They called her an honorary stud online. Did you know that? Like the black lesbian Twitter.
Oh, well, that's fair. I mean, I think if
she was interviewed by Essence. She was the only white player interviewed by Essence magazine.
She is like the swaggiest. Here's the thing, and I think this is probably where the assumption from Paige comes from, is like she is too much drip to be straight.
Wild. I don't know. I think it's the way she wears her hat. Even when she was wearing the hat after the national championship, and the what is it? The net around. Like she had the whole net.
The net. I'm surprised she wasn't wearing the net last night.
So anyway, they're wearing back to the fact they're wearing the matching outfits. Azzi is at Paige's table or family table with mom, dad, Gino. Not with Yukon. And then Paige gives her a hug. She's like one of the first people she hugs. The camera knew. Panned right to Azzi. Which, messy-ass cameraman. Azzi hugs her. I think there was a kiss on the cheek. It was like, So she does that, and then she says to her, which the lip syncer readers were all out, being like, I love you. Which could be a normal, hey, I love you, great job, I'm proud of you, I love you, I'm proud of you. But it was just an I love you. And then Paige at some point, because listen, the broadcast clips are chopped together. I don't know what came first, chicken or the egg. But Paige lets her know, which I definitely heard, I'm mic'd up right now. I want you to know, says to Azzi, not to anyone else, I'm mic'd up right now. Don't do anything crazy. Azzi.
That's like the first thing they say when they know the person across from them is going to say something that they do not want anyone to hear is, hey, Hot Mic.
You know, that was an idea I had for a podcast name, Hot Mic. It's a little too straightforward, honestly. Anyway, so everyone is wondering, are Paige and Azzi together?
I mean, that's the takeaway. I mean, because there was no surprise. Like, the surprise with Paige last night, not a surprise that she went first. Not a surprise that Dallas lost their shit about it. Not a surprise that the team was excited or the city was excited. But that hand on the lower back.
Didn't expect it. Did you remember, this is going to be like another side road. I don't know if we talked about this when Azzi got caught on camera over the summer.
Yes.
They were doing a photo shoot or something in front of like a chain link fence or something for... Also, Azzi, why are you everywhere that Paige is in the off season too? all the time. So she's with her for New York Fashion Week, which we know is Paige's thing, because Paige has a new stylist, Brittany Hampton, who's awesome. I bet you Azzi's also styled by Brittany Hampton. Anyhow, so I think there was like she like was holding her finger. And then she like
that's right, and she dropped it.
She dropped it like it was a Mars bar at the
Mars bar.
Or like a Milky Way or whatever. You know what I mean? At the corner store when someone's like, "What you doing?" Nothing. It was a shook. It's like, what? Clearly something's up. Yeah, I mean, we want them to be together. That's what we want.
I think we do. I think it comes down to that. It's a cute story. They're cute. They have a cute relationship. Whatever it is.
Paige even said, Azzi's the first person in my life I've ever been able to open up and share my feelings with. I've always kept it in, and now I'm able to share everything with Azzi. And she's able to share everything with me. If it isn't love, why do it feel so bad? Why does she stay on my mind? And then they showed all the edits of them looking at each other in all the podium spots. I mean, TikTok's gone crazy. If Paige didn't want us to think her and Azzi were together, she wouldn't fuel the fire this way. She is watching TikToks. Remember, I don't know if you knew this, but Azzi went on some magazine shoot, and they asked about whether Paige sees all the Paige Bueckers edits, which is like, let's be honest, lesbian TikTok is a blaze for Paige. And they make these Azzi and Paige edits all the time. And Azzi says that Paige deleted social media, and she takes Azzi's phone and watches all the edits.
She does love to watch her highlights and her edits. She's gonna kill me when she hears this.
How does Paige delete social media when she's literally constantly posting?
Somebody's posting for her.
She has a social media bitch that does her work.
Definitely.
Do you think it's Azzi?
Yeah. I think Azzi just literally is with her at all times, and she's got access to Paige's account. And then Paige has no social media on her phone because she would go crazy. She would never do any work. She would never be in the gym. And she would just be on TikTok all day.
I mean,
it's got to be Azzi.
It's got to be Azzi. I don't know who else it would be. Because who is Paige trusting to edit her, her mirror?
Come on.
Her mirror.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing this. It's crazy.
And she knows it too. Like, she knows that her comments are filled with young 20s girls just metaphorically throwing their bras.
If she didn't want it,
she wouldn't do it.
She wouldn't continue to fuel that at all.
No. Let me tell you, all I know is Caitlyn Clark is not posting thirst traps.
At all. And the way that Caitlyn Clark looked when she wore that suit where she had her little mamas out. Because everybody's starting to do the blazer with their boobs out, like no bra. Everyone in the W is starting to do the blazer with no bra underneath, just like the pasties or the boob tape. So when Caitlyn did it, it looks still very straight.
Here's my question. Do you think we're going to see, how like there's flocks and droves to Caitlyn Clark games because they want to see her pull up at the logo?
Yes, those are coming for Paige.
Yeah, they're coming for Paige. But are they going to be are they partially going to be the fangirls who are just like the Beatles walked in? Because that's how people treat Paige.
I saw these 6-year-olds wait for 2 hours for Paige. She never came out. They wouldn't leave. Back to the draft, though.
Do you think this pickup for Dallas is... let's just talk about the pick in general. I mean, we knew it was coming, but how do you view Dallas now that they officially have Paige?
Well, that's a great question. I think what I would say is you look at what Dallas was 2 years ago, and they were a playoff team. They went to the semifinals, and they had a bunch of injury issues. And so then they were ass last year, and I don't think that was really indicative of who they were as a squad. So you get rid of, obviously, or you lose. You don't get rid of. You'd never get rid of Satu. But you don't have Satu anymore. And then you find players like Maisha Hines-Allen, like Nalissa Smith, like Dejanay Carrington, and you add that to... Also, by the way, Maddie Segrist from Villanova is really good. She's 6'2". She's only averaging like 10 points a game, but she's definitely good. And then obviously you've got Arike. And then you add that roster and you add Paige. You add Isaiah James from NC State, who's a bucket, by the way. She's a fucking bucket. And Maddie Scott from Ole Miss, who's 6'2". So Paige is 6 feet, Maddie Scott 6'2", Isaiah James 6'10". And that's a team that is going to be pretty hard to guard, honestly.
Do you think that this was a little bit of a gift back to Dallas, considering what the city has taken from them this season so far with the Luka trade, with, you know, the Cowboys flatlining for the last, you know...
However long, forever.
This is kind of like the sports god's gift back to Dallas.
It's a big consolation prize. I don't think Dallas realized when they got the number 1 overall pick how much pain it was going to take along the way between then and the time that they drafted Paige. They had no idea what was coming to them at all. So, yeah, you now have a new superstar in town. And I think if there's anything that's going to force Dallas as a city to want to get behind women's sports, want to get behind women's basketball, this is it, because they've got nothing else. It's a burned down city, essentially. This is a big-ass city.
Sports speaking.
Yeah, from a sports perspective. Lots to do. A big international city, big young, like a young professional city, bars, restaurants, lots of traffic, lots of opportunities for attractions. So I think cities like that have a hard time with the NBA or WNBA team sticking, like Atlanta. There's just way too much to do. And Atlanta generally has almost no fans in the building. So the fact that, okay, you're no support for the NBA team now. There's going to be support for the Cowboys just because it's America's team, but they're ass. And they're not even in the same time schedule as the WNBA, really. Hate to hear it. And you've got now the face of the franchise, but also a co-face probably of the league. I think Paige, like you said, is like the Beatles. So it's a consolation prize. Can she usurp the love that this team had for Luka? Woo! She's going to need to take this team to the finals in order to do that. Before we move on from the Wings, though, I do want to talk about, or at least mention, just how funny the draft was for Dallas as a whole. And very clearly, Nalissa Smith and Dejanay were paying attention to it. So Nalissa tweets. So again, they drafted Maddie from Ole Miss, Isaiah James, Aaronette Vonleh, who's not really a part of this conversation, and then they drafted JJ Quinterly. And so, based on that, Nalissa Smith tweets out first team all studs, which is wild. And then Dejanay responds to it and says, oh, the femmes are going to be out in droves and they better keep it cute. Like they're coming for Nalissa Smith, her girlfriend. This is just this is going to be a fun, underratedly messy team in the best way.
So I'm in a different room.
You're in a different city.
I'm in a different
shirt.
I'm in a different, well, we're just, it's different days. It's
different days. We were thinking about putting this out when this is being recorded now for the second straight day. For those who don't know, Sarah's very important. She's got a lot of things going on. And she's in the middle of a very remote shoot in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And so...
Well, now I'm not. Now I'm in a place with the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, okay. So she's driving, and then she leaves her charger at the hotel and realizes it after she gets to the next spot. And then the charger's gone, so she's trying to use the iPhone charger. Clearly that doesn't work because... For whatever.
I think we could have just left it at like technical difficulties. I don't think you had to.
I think this is Gen Z anyway, so we had to record today, the rest of it. So half it was pre-recorded yesterday and half is done now.
So
Do you know where we left off?
Yeah, I do. Actually, you were just about to tell me your biggest surprise fall of the draft.
The biggest surprise fall of the draft. I think it's got to be Cheyenne Sellers, no?
Yeah, I mean, we were shocked about that.
I was shooketh because all the mocks had Cheyenne Sellers, who is a 6'2" guard, played at Maryland, is a bucket, can do a bunch of different things. She was mocked in every single mock that I had seen. Top 6. Top 7. I never saw her out of the top 8. Never.
And definitely not out of the first round.
And not out of the first round. So she slips to 17 to the team that many thought that might have taken her in the first round. I think also Sanaya Fagan was really interesting too. And she slipped all the way to 21 to the Sparks. And the Sparks couldn't believe she was there for them. Steal. That's what they thought. They said we were thieving. We went up in there and we stole everything.
You said Cheyenne Sellers you thought was the steal of the draft, though.
Yes. If Cheyenne Sellers is supposed to go top 5, and then you go out and you reach for another player, and you grab her people that they crushed you in the post-draft grades in Yusta, Uchida.
You told me it was Ucita.
Utsita. It's a weird C. Anyway, you reach, quote unquote, reach for Utsita, and then you still get the girl you could have gotten at 5. Crazy.
Who else on the rising side? I mean, rising tides. Sarah Ashley Barker.
9th.
Who, by the way, I literally just learned was the daughter of Jay Barker, and I went to that school, so.
Yeah, she goes 9th to the Sparks. A lot of people had her mocked in like the early to middle second round. She had that 45-point game against Maryland when they went to double overtime, and she pretty much carried the team on her back. So I think what you're seeing is some of these NCAA performances end up changing the perception of those who are in charge of making those decisions because it's the last thing that they've seen. Even the experts have recency bias.
You brought up draft grades. Who are you giving the highest grade of this draft?
Ooh, I think you kind of... We got to take the wings out of it.
Right? Well, they're right. Like Paige...
You got to take the wings out of it. Because you're getting a transcendent player. And anyone who was at 1, that's like being born on third base, still going to score. You know what I mean? Like, you had the number 1 pick. Like, there was no option for you to fuck it up. Right? The grade is what the grade is because Paige is there. All you had to do was select her, right?
Right. Like if they had not selected Paige, that's how they lose the draft.
My little baby nephew that I don't even have would have selected Paige at first overall. So you can't look at the wings and say, oh, they won the draft, right? And they made some other good decisions. But I think probably the Mystics, your team.
I was late from the outdoors getting in to actually sit in front of the TV and watch the draft and join you on the live.
You could have just stopped at late.
I had reasons for being late, just like I have reasons for us recording this podcast today and not yesterday. So I was late getting to the TV, and as I turned it on, I saw sixth pick. So I turned it on, saw 6th pick, Washington Mystics select Georgia Moore. And I was like, I don't know. I was surprised that was not mocked at all.
Yeah, I think she was supposed to go a little later. I think considering that Sonia Citron was mocked to go to the Mystics and she ended up getting drafted to the Mystics, maybe experts thought that they weren't going to take 2 guards. But that not only did they take 2 guards, they took like 4 guards. They took Sonia Citron from Notre Dame. She's got a lot of versatility and dynamicism to her game. They took Georgia Moore. Then they took Lucy Olson from Iowa, who's like a little baby. She's not Caitlin Clark, right? But she did a lot of things that Caitlin Clark did at Iowa, and she's super fun. And so they take her. They take Zay Green, who you probably don't know a lot about Zay Green because I didn't know a lot about Zay Green, but she was the second leading scorer on your Alabama Crimson Tide. And then she's got a little footwork. She's got a little spin move. So you have 4 guards that they took. And then they got Kiki Iriafin, who I think Kiki is a game changer next to Aaliyah Edwards. So you now have a little like front court core. Did my light went off? Hold up. That's the one. Okay. I think, honestly, the first 4 picks at least should make the team. So that's a good draft. To be able to get 3, possibly 4 rotation players in one draft is exactly what a team who essentially decimated their roster. That's what they did. They got rid of everybody.
And EDD is officially...
Yeah, so Elena Deladon is now gone just right to the front. Like, she just basically retired and then immediately started working for the Mystics in a consultancy role. I'm not sure if you saw that.
I didn't know.
She was in the war room. So I think that's really fascinating. Those are the ones. And then the Fever had a good draft. I think that's probably really what I like the most. I think those are the teams that I thought really did the best.
Okay, well, I want to talk about the Valkyries because we wrote that down.
Yep.
They picked Cheyenne Sellers, like you said, getting her after projecting getting her in the first round. They ended up getting her in the second round. But their third round pick, I mean, was arguably probably one of the most heartwarming moments of the draft.
Yeah.
When they selected your favorite girl.
Honestly, you, me, and another friend of ours went and saw UConn play, and Caitlyn Chen immediately stood out. I was like, who's this little Asian girl? She's good. Oh, she's an Ivy League transfer, grad student. Her head coach at Princeton used to be a UConn player, probably called Gino up and was like, this is one of the missing pieces for you guys to take the pressure off the ball from Paige Bueckers. And Caitlyn can do everything. She's a 3-level scorer. She can shoot the 3 really well. She gets to the basket for her size. She's 5'8", gets to the basket really well. I would say elite's probably not the right word, but a really excellent finisher. She doesn't make a lot of mistakes. She's a good pesky defender. She doesn't have a lot of holes in her game. And very smart. IQ is ridiculous.
Caitlyn Chen? See Caitlyn Chen? Let's go!
Paige was basically saying, hey, you guys need to draft my other UConn teammates. Caitlyn Chen being one of them. And then the moment that was so great was that Caitlyn was at the draft for Paige, just like Kate Martin from Iowa was at the draft last year for Caitlin Clark. 2 Caitlyns, back-to-back years, kind of nuts. And so she's there to support her teammate, not thinking about herself getting drafted at all. And then all of a sudden, the camera people, the producers are like, hey, you're about to get drafted. We're going to have to get you to move over here. And then we're going to put the cameras on you.
The Golden State Valkyries select Caitlyn Chen, University of Connecticut.
And then she ends up going to this expansion team in the Bay Area, and she's on the same team as Kate Martin, who had this exact same story when the Las Vegas Aces drafted her last year, surprisingly, and no one knew that was going to happen.
Las Vegas Aces select Kate Martin.
Just total glue players, and I think when you're a team that's just starting out and you don't have a lot of stars, you're starting from nothing, these glue players, good attitude, elevates the mood, keeps the 1-star player, 2-star player that you have on the team happy. Vibes are good, highly coachable, willing to do all the shit that other people aren't willing to do. That is super critical.
We talked about this, but an article came out written by a
man.
I don't know, some guy.
Man.
Some man with a local beat reporter.
Let's just say he's not on the WNBA beat full time.
Hope to God not, because his exact quote about this draft. The Valkyries had their expansion draft this past December, but that was all just cast-offs from WNBA teams, which, first of all, Kate Martin, not a cast-off. Kate Martin was such an impact player last year and got, I think her jerseys sold out at one point last year. Like, people love Kate Martin. So to call her a cast-off is a wild thing. Then he goes on to say, in fact, their current roster does not have any recognizable names, even to people who watch a ton of women's basketball. First of all, I don't know who this guy is talking to, but anybody who watches women's basketball knows who Kate Martin is. Yeah. So I'm not really sure if this guy's ever watched basketball. I'm going to assume, considering later on he says, let me tell you this about this thing called the WNBA.
That was when he lost me, Sarah.
That was the most condescending sentence I've ever heard in my... If you've never heard of the WNBA, first of all, dude, fuck you.
Let me bring you new women's basketball fans up to speed on this thing called... Here's where it gets super fucking dicey. Let me bring you up to speed, because I'm the expert, right? Me, Joe, is his name, Joe, on this thing called the WNBA. The defending champs are the New York Liberty. Correct. They knocked off the defending champions, the Las Vegas Aces. Hold. That was not the final. The Aces were not in the final. It was the Minnesota Lynx. So even if they did knock off the Aces at some fucking point, that's not what you said, really. And then he's like bringing up Tom Brady. Anyway, then he said, I watched at least 24 women's March Madness games. Pause. Sir, did you watch 24 or more March Madness games? You're fucking joking me. You're joking me.
Did he... Okay, so he watched... Let's say he watched 24 March Madness games. Ooh. Like... Okay. Ooh. Do you want... Like, first of all, what a weird thing to point out.
Big flex.
I
just
watched
a flex.
March. It sounds like that should have been your job.
If you watched 24, you probably should have been watching everyone.
His point, the reason he said that was because he didn't know who the first pick was.
The Valkyries' first round.
The first Valkyries' first pick was.
Bro, did you do even an ounce of Googling that she didn't play in the United States?
That was my point. I was like, you didn't see her in March Madness because she didn't play in March Madness.
This insane shit.
Anyway, there really wasn't a point to this outside of, wanting to complain about
and I think, to be fair, okay, you want to say you don't like the pick for Yusta Yotsite. Okay, she was supposed to go whatever. A month and a half ago, she was a top 7 pick. That's what she was. Because I remember being like, who is just Joe Sight? I remember being like, who's Joe Sight? And she was in the top 10, definitely. And I want to say at one point she was mocked to go to the Valkyries back then. So she falls out of that, and people thought she was going to go in the top 20 in the second round somewhere. But Cheyenne Sellers, as we said, was a top 5, top 6 pick mocked a few days before the draft. So if you were to pick Cheyenne Sellers, she was mocked at 6, and you get her at 5, I don't think that raises any eyebrows. And then you get Yusta at 17, which is right around where she was mocked. Then you get Caitlyn Chen at 30. Everything's exactly the same. But everyone's like, oh, great draft for the Valkyries.
So who cares? So who cares where you got them? You still got them.
Yes. And I want to say he also said she was from Slovenia, and she's from Lithuania. You gotta get the Sabonis's, the Valanciunases, and you gotta get them straight from the Luka Doncic's. You can't mix them up. These are names I know don't mean anything.
They mean nothing to me.
But
no, they're just names.
These are men's players in the MNBA.
You know the MNBA. You know how I feel about boys sports.
I know how you feel about the M anything.
The M. It's not really my thing. Unless it's M
CFP.
College football.
Yeah.
The M NFL I'm good with.
Okay.
Just outside of that, Well.
But the best thing though was the thing that didn't happen.
The thing that didn't happen, which, hold on, let me get my tiny little violin to play for Sedona Prince, who did not get drafted, which womp womp.
Just a tear. Let a tear out for Sedona. Did you see that Sedona had written a few weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, the TCU letter, and she had it on some purple background. She made it in Canva, and she was like, I am announcing going to the WNBA draft, and then right after she didn't get drafted, she deleted it.
She deleted it? I didn't see that.
You didn't know that? She deleted it.
No, that's so funny. I mean, I would like to think that it had something to do with our posts. I want to say...
Yes.
I mean, we had, probably 100 people in the comments adding the Dallas Wings. Don't do it. And I was like... They didn't do it.
About 3 million people. We made this deep dive. Shout out to you who made it come to life visually. pretty much came to life, period. And around 3 million people saw that about 2 weeks before the draft. We did it early enough where they had time to let that linger in the dome. If we would have put that out 2 days before, they already got their war room set up. They got their mocks ready. No. They had a full couple of weeks, these GMs, to see after the Athletic article where a bunch of GMs were like, I think she will be drafted.
She's going to get picked. She's too good.
Teams thought that she would go maybe in the first round late, second round early. We put out the piece. 3 million views later, a bajillion comments like, I will fucking lose my shit if she makes it to this team. And it's universal happiness when she didn't get selected.
What's funny is I didn't hear a single word about her 5 separate women who have accused her of either domestic violence or sexual assault. I did not hear those words uttered in the entire time that the tournament was on, the whole season, until the very end of the draft, when they said, Sedona Prince, not drafted. She did have some sexual assault allegations, and we've been told that the GMs didn't love that.
It was like Ryan Rucco, the broadcaster for the draft, had that shit in the holster.
He was so ready to pull it out, and someone said, do it.
Ethered her. And then the photo that they used, I hope you put
so
this
bad
on for B-roll. The photo that they used, she was like, I just rip heads off of their spine. It was crazy. And then the memes afterwards that they were putting, and I finally found the little gross Sedona Prince dance video that they did.
I can't watch it.
It resurfaced as like the vibe.
That's my sleep paralysis demon, is Sedona Prince dancing.
And you know what I thought was really interesting online is there's like this, obviously the big TikTok audience that's knows of Sedona, knows of the whole story, the lore is deep into their mind. But also there's this other contingent that's kind of like pretty aggressive with the justice system. Like they've either felt very wrongly accused or their people felt wrongly accused. And so it's like, well, she hasn't been charged, so she should be able to have this job on these teams. And there's a lot of, oh, if she was a man, X, Y, or Z. If she was a black man or a black woman, X, Y, or Z. But we've had other situations where domestic violence has trickled through and gotten drafted.
Now, we don't see it as much with the women's game. There's a lot. I mean, I'm sure you can boil that down to a million reasons. But there are certain ones we can point to. You know, there's Ezekiel Elliott drafted after sexual assault domestic violence allegations.
Yeah, Joe Mixon also, who used to play for the Cincinnati Bengals, plays for the Texans now. Chad Ochocinco as well, another Cincinnati Bengal, incidentally enough. He was accused in college. Jameis Winston, who actually was drafted first overall by he went to Florida State.
And do you remember, like, people wanted him held out for the entire season before he was drafted, because that all came out like in the summer, and there was that whole, he like stole crab legs, and do you remember? He like
yeah, and then there was a cab driver.
Yeah, and then there was like a thing where he stood up on a table in like the student union and was like,
That's still plaguing him right now, by the way. All of these allegations are the reason that he doesn't have a full-time analyst commentator gig for college football or the NFL or something with Underdog Fantasy, or that people still say, you know, love Jameis, super charismatic guy, but optically we still worry about this thing that happened 10 years ago.
So optically, I mean, I understand the comparison of like, well, we let the men do it, so shouldn't we allow what's different? Why are we holding women? But I'm glad that women's sports is setting a different precedent of, yes, no, we are going to draw a line. Now, I guess we'll see what happens. There are some other people that are still in college right now that if another draft were to happen tomorrow would likely be on, mocked somewhere, that have had domestic violence allegations.
Sedona Prince can't dunk. though.
And Ashlyn Watkins can.
Yeah, if Sedona Prince could dunk, maybe it would be different. She also is like a bajillion years old, and she has injury issues. And I know Ashlyn Watkins also has injury issues, but she doesn't have 3 different ones.
So, I mean, overall, I think the women's sports world rejoiced that Sedona Prince... Well, I mean, I guess here's the question, because I see a lot of people saying we've dodged the bullet. Sedona Prince will never play in the WNBA. How sure of that sentence are you at this moment in time?
70%. Because most players who are drafted past early first round aren't making rosters anyway. So the likelihood of Sedona being an undrafted free agent and making a roster and playing a WNBA game is very slim. I would say it's closer to the meme of like, you better start learning Cantonese.
They're sending her off. I mean, they're ready to go, and I don't think that anybody besides Sedona is crying about this.
You don't think Hailey Van Lith is in her bedroom being like, oh, you don't think she texted Sedona and is like, I'm so sad?
No. Can we talk, though, about how good Hailey Van Lith, she was just, I mean, they all looked phenomenal, but I want to back up a second, because who was, in your opinion, best dressed?
Can I say Paige? Paige had 2, I didn't even
It's a cop-out, but you can say
Paige had
it.
2 outfits. Paige had 2 different outfits, and they were both custom. She had a bell-bottom joint that she wore to the orange carpet that was like completely bedazzled with a bedazzled black cross, which I don't even know how I feel about that. And she was matching with Azzi, and then she changed out of that joint and put on like a proper suit. It was almost like a wedding. Like you had your reception fit, and then you had like the wedding gown. It was like that. She had her wedding suit on, and it was like a full blazer with the lapels that were kind of they were also bedazzled or bejeweled. It was awesome. And I think,
have you seen the pictures from the after party?
Oh my God. She was
like buttoned down, just absolutely gone.
Just twisted.
So let's all celebrate and get drunk. Let's go.
So Brittany Hampton is Paige Bueckers' stylist, one of the best stylists in the game. She's the one who put together that white suit. But she used to style Russell Westbrook as well. So Russell Westbrook and Honor the Gift, which is his company, had worked with Brittany Hampton. And then also, as an aside, just a quick aside, that's who styled Georgia Amore, was Russell Westbrook.
Paige is just your answer? That's your, like, you're going to go with the generic Paige best dressed?
I think also... Who else was? I have the photos here. Anissa Morrow kind of is a low-key good one as well. Black skirt.
Black leather skirt.
Yeah, black leather skirt, black leather bodice, black leather bomber, black suede pumps, black collar choker, hair done perfectly. Pretty damn good. Sonia Citron also crushed it in her own little, like, Princess of the Bride kind of a way. She had these little, like, she had heels on with ankle socks.
That's like a thing.
That's a thing for some. She had the whole, like, blazer dress going. I don't know if that's a mini skirt underneath. And it was a full-on deep V with just the girls out, no bra, that, like, thing that's happening.
They were all in black. Was that like, do we think that was planned? Were they like dressing for like the funeral of men's sports?
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
It was all black, except for Kiki. I loved Kiki's outfit.
That was an African stylist as well who did that. The gold was phenomenal. Also, I do want to shout out Isaiah James as well. Isaiah James had on another all black fit, but it was like culottes. I want to say, yeah, it was like almost a Celtic skirt thing, And then there was a matching blazer that was stitched. She had her hair up, she had these matching sunglasses, and then she had a pair of loafers with ankle socks on again, but the ankle socks had lace on them. Those are my favorites. Of course, Azzi's an honorable mention as well, because her and Paige were matching.
It's hard to include her because she wasn't a draftee, but, you know, she was there.
And then she had on a little mini skirt for Paige's party afterwards. A little black mini dress.
Was she also just 5 sheets to the wind?
Couldn't tell. She seemed happy. That's our queen. That's our WNBA draft.
And that's our episode.
That's all the time that we have. We've been doing this for 2 days now, so I think we should probably go. Next week, what do we have in store for us next week? Are we talking more NWSL?
I think we got to talk some soccer. There's some hockey going on right now. Basketball's on a little bit of a hiatus until the season starts in like a short 3 weeks from now.
There'll be a bunch of tea coming out with all of these draftees that have their like podium stuff. They're going to have, remember, right after Caitlyn was drafted, and then Angel, obviously, her press conference was a lot smaller and a lot more ghetto. And so we'll have, hey, Sarah, let her shoot!
Let her shoot!